You've been here before. Someone says something that cuts deep, a subtle insult, a careless remark, and before you even think, you react. Your heart races, your chest tightens, and the words spill out. Maybe it's anger. Maybe it's silence soaked in resentment. But later, alone, you wonder, why do they have so much power over me? It's not just them. It's everything. Traffic, deadlines, disrespect, disappointment. The smallest things can hijack your peace, as if your emotions belong to the world, not to you. But what if you could master the art of not reacting? Not by suppressing your emotions, but by understanding them, by seeing the space between stimulus and response, and realizing that space is where your power lives. Lesson 1. The space between the spark and the flame. Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist who survived the Nazi concentration camps, once said, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." Every argument, every insult, every inconvenience begins as a spark. Reacting immediately is like pouring gasoline on that spark. But stillness, true Stoic stillness, is the act of watching the flame before it burns. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, faced betrayal, war, and plague. Yet he reminded himself daily, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The modern world trains us to do the opposite, to react instantly. A notification buzzes, and we check it. A stranger disagrees, and we defend ourselves. We live in a perpetual tug-of-war with things we cannot control. But inner peace begins when you let go of the rope. Lesson 2. Emotion is not the enemy. Stoicism doesn't ask you to be emotionless. It asks you to master emotion, not be mastered by it. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Anger, fear, envy. They're not wrong to feel. They're signals. But when you let them steer your life, they turn into chains. Imagine standing in a storm. You can't stop the wind, but you can decide not to chase every gust. That's emotional discipline. Not suppression, but sovereignty. Modern psychology echoes this ancient wisdom. Cognitive behavioral therapy, built partly on Stoic principles, teaches that emotions are triggered not by the events themselves, but by our interpretation of them. It's not, "They insulted me." It's, "I decided that their insult mattered." The shift sounds small, but it's the difference between slavery and freedom. Lesson 3. The ego is the puppeteer. The reason you react, the reason you have to be right or need to defend yourself, is ego. Nietzsche warned that pride often disguises itself as virtue. You think you're standing for truth or justice, but in reality, you're protecting your fragile sense of self. Ego whispers, "You can't let them talk to you like that. You deserve more. They don't see your worth." But the Stoic asks, why does their blindness need to make you blind too? When you let go of ego, something magical happens. You stop being provoked by everything. Not because you're weak, but because you finally understand that strength doesn't need to prove itself. Lesson 4. Control is an illusion. Acceptance is freedom. Epictetus was born a slave. He couldn't control his status, his owner, or his pain. Yet he became one of the most influential philosophers in history. He said, "Some things are up to us, and some things are not." Those 10 words contain an entire philosophy of peace. Most people live upside down, trying to control the uncontrollable and neglecting the one thing they truly can: their own mind. You can't stop people from gossiping. You can't stop the economy from crashing. You can't even stop aging. But you can control how you interpret each moment. You can choose composure over chaos. The Stoics didn't escape suffering. They transcended it by refusing to give it meaning it didn't deserve. Lesson 5. Detachment is not apathy. When most people hear detachment, they imagine cold indifference. But Stoic detachment is something different. It's loving deeply, yet not clinging. It's caring sincerely, yet not collapsing when things fall apart. It's living fully, but with open hands. Think of a river. It flows freely, carrying everything in its path. The Stoic stands in the river of life without trying to stop the current. You can't control the flow, but you can learn to float. As the Buddhist saying goes, attachment is the root of suffering. The Stoics would agree, but they'd add, suffering also comes from mistaking externals for essentials. You lose your job, your partner, your health, and your identity collapses because you've built yourself on what the world can take away. True peace is when nothing external defines your internal worth. Lesson 6. The power of perspective. There's a story about two prisoners. Both looked out through the bars of their cell. One saw mud, the other saw stars. Marcus Aurelius would have understood this perfectly. He often wrote to himself, reminding his own weary heart to see things as they are, not worse than they are. Perspective is everything. When life feels unbearable, ask, what story am I telling myself about this? Am I the victim or the student? Pain becomes growth when seen through the right lens, and even failure becomes wisdom when you stop labeling it as defeat. Remember, the same event that breaks one person can awaken another. Lesson 7. Stillness is the ultimate strength. In a noisy world, stillness feels unnatural, almost rebellious. But silence is not emptiness. It's space for awareness to breathe. Ryan Holiday calls stillness the key to everything. And the Stoics practiced it through reflection, journaling, and deliberate solitude. The modern mind craves distraction because stillness forces you to face yourself. And what you'll find there isn't always pretty. Insecurity, regret, longing. But the only way to stop reacting to the world is first to stop running from yourself. So sit with your thoughts. Watch them pass like clouds. And you'll realize that peace isn't found by adding more, but by needing less. Lesson 8. Life tests you until you learn. Every obstacle is a test. Every insult, every disappointment, every delay, life's way of asking, have you learned not to react yet? Machiavelli once wrote that fortune is like a storm, unpredictable and merciless. But he also believed that those who are adaptable can withstand anything. The Stoic doesn't pray for calm seas. They train to remain unshaken when the storm arrives. Next time something provokes you, don't see it as an attack. See it as training. The world isn't punishing you. It's preparing you. The final reflection. The unshakable soul. Imagine a life where nothing could disturb your peace, where you respond, not react, where chaos surrounds you, but never enters you. That's not fantasy. That's Stoicism in action. Not coldness, not detachment from life, but mastery within it. Bonhoeffer once said, "The ultimate test of a moral society is the kind of human it produces. The ultimate test of your soul is how you respond when life takes away what you thought you needed." So the next time someone provokes you, pause, take a breath, and remember, you cannot always choose your circumstances, but you can always choose your composure. Because peace is not given. It's earned in the quiet moments when you could have reacted, but didn't. Outro thought. The art of not reacting is not about silence. It's about sovereignty. It's realizing that when you no longer need to control everything, you finally